Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the country, around the world, and whatever time you're watching this, whether you're watching it live or on the replay. Quite a few of you joining up and joining me in the chat as usual. I pre-recorded this webinar more than once, and I don't know what's happened. Camtasia, which is the product I use to record the videos, uh, just randomly started doing some weird stuff, and it would cut off my recordings after a few minutes. I have no idea why it's doing that. It's been absolutely fine for a very long time. I've never had any problems with it whatsoever, and then it's just started misbehaving. So we shall see about that. I can record on this studio software that we're using here as well, but it's not quite the same as using Camtasia. Dzień dobry to Pavel from Poland. Hello, Pavel. And all the other people around. I know there's we always get like at least 17 countries. It's absolutely incredible how many of you watch, and we get a lot of people follow us on the what's the word I'm looking for, the recordings afterwards as well. Salut Einstein, and in Nantes in France, and dzień dobry again to Badzia 333 from Poland, Gdynia, I think that's pronounced as well, and Colin in Trinidad. In fact, I just get a few people to say hi like this, and you're all on the stream. I'm not going to spend a lot of time saying hi to everybody because sometimes people get a bit annoyed. We are looking to mix this up a bit. We're going to start doing a few things where we will do some video shorts. You know, if you watch YouTube, you get these shorts, or Instagram live shorts as well, and a few other things as well. Like on the YouTube, we're going to try and do chapters so that people can jump right to, say, the demonstration of the product I'm talking about, or go to some slides, or go to a live interview with some of the people that we've got joining us. We've got a lot of webinars coming up. Today, if you're watching live, this is the first one of 2 a week, every week, all of November and all of December, right up until the end of December. We've got them scheduled, including the holiday period, just a few days before the holiday period. I know we've called this winter webinars, and I've already had Australians and Brazilians tell me, hey, it's summer, it's coming up to summer for us. Look, whatever we call it, winter webinar sounded cool. It's winter for me, although it's still warm outside, it being Texas, where I live in Dallas. Yeah, you know, we had to pick a subject, so call it the summer series if you want, if you live in Australia or something like that. But for many other people as well, it is actually winter, so that's where we're going to go. And plus, it's cool, holiday season, all the rest of it. And Pete, hello from Imperial Valley, California. Oh, very nice. And Italy, ciao to Marco and all the rest. I'm going to kick off straight away with my slides. I've got a set of slides to talk about our product today, and a live demonstration as well. I have to be very careful about the names that I put up on this screen, because sometimes as people try and slip a few naughty ones in. Who else we've got here? Thomas. Hello, Thomas, from Austria as well. Just to prove to you, every country comes along. We get people from India, Pakistan, you name it, China even. We had someone from the Caicos Islands one time as well, which is a very small group of islands, and quite incredible. But RAD Studio and Delphi is used around the world. There are millions of people that use it. You know, and just as many people join the webinars from every country possible. I try not to speak too quickly, but I can't help it. I drink a lot of coffee. It's all completely, I have to say, my hyper enthusiasm is all completely natural thanks to the coffee bean, and no other reason for my exuberance. I love the product. I love what I do. So, you know, what can you say? I'm gonna be in a good mood. Okay, so thanks to everybody for saying hi. Let's share my screen and let's talk about today's subject. So let's pick the correct screen. and it is this one. Okay, so today we are talking about the winter webinar series again. Let me just get to here so I can drive things. Oops, sorry about this, everyone. There you go. Multiple screens, and I've actually cut down to 2 screens. I used to have 3. But we are talking today about something very exciting, and that is QuickReports. QuickReports is back. And if you don't know why that's a big deal, I'm going to explain in a moment and go through and tell you exactly what it is. Whilst I'm showing the slides, I can't see the chat, so I'm not going to answer the chat during the slides and during the demo. But don't worry, I will be around and answering questions a little bit later. Hold your questions for now and ask them a little bit later. So today, QuickReports. If you don't know who I am, and shame on you, if you're a regular viewer, you should by now have heard of me. Whenever I go to Delphi conferences, everybody seems to know who I am, so I guess I'm getting my name out there. And my name is Ian Barker, and I'm the Embarcadero Developer Advocate. You can email me, please do, at ian.barker@embarcadero.com. If you want to read about me, what I do, and a few other things as well, go to about.me/Ian Barker, and there's some web pages and stuff that tells you what I do. I've been a writer, a narrator, a voice actor. I've done quite a lot of things, but always been a developer. Today's slides will not be up there yet because I haven't finished the presentation, but the replay for this session and the slides and some example code will be up at tinyurl.com/winter24QRP. If you go there right now, it will come up with a 404 error. So just wait until the presentation is finished. If you're watching the replay, then it should be there, obviously. QuickReports. Well, what on earth is QuickReports? Well, QuickReports was the #1 Delphi C++ Builder reporting solution for many years. There are some others around nowadays, and at the end of this presentation, I will tell you about those as well. But what happened is, unfortunately, it kind of becoming a little bit more common in our industry. The key developer, a guy called Luke Mentz, a very, very good developer, by the way, passed away unexpectedly. It was one of those situations where there were other people that worked on the product. I've seen some source code check-ins, and I know there have been other developers work on it, but Luke was the main guy, and he passed away. And the product is actually owned by QBS Software in the UK, and they've got a posting on their website there that explains what happened to Luke. Their website is www.quickreport.co.uk. However, I don't recommend that you go to that one for information about QuickReport. And the reason is QBS were in a bit of a kind of state of flux for a few years. And so this website, at the moment that I'm recording this, is very out of date. And actually, not only is it out of date, but it has incorrect information on it. It has things like, it says that the latest version it works with is 10.3 and things like that. That's not true. It is now compatible with 12.2, which is what we're going to talk about, RAD Studio and Delphi and C++ Builder 12.2. It is now distributed by a very well-known and very extremely reliable, award-winning Embarcadero official partner. They're helping out QBS. QBS own it and are distributors of software themselves. But the people that are distributing it are Barnsten. And we'll talk about that in a moment, where you can go to get that. So don't go to that website. I'll give you a more up-to-date website in a moment. What is QuickReport? Well, QuickReport is what's known as a banded report generator. What that means is that if you connect it to a data source, let's say a list of all your employees in a company, and it's a query, for every employee, it will print one of the detail bands, and the detail band is the band there in the middle that you can see that's got that QR code on. I've just dropped that on. That's one of the components. And for every employee, that detail band will appear. It's written 100% in Delphi, and because of that, it works for Delphi and C++ Builder, both the latest versions. Now, with the involvement of Barnsten, QBS have done a lot of work on this, but it now is supporting every version of Delphi and RAD Studio from version 7, the much loved and very tenacious Delphi 7, up to the latest version of 12.2. The only restriction is it doesn't work with the CE versions. So if you've got the community edition, unfortunately, QuickReports is not going to work with that. But it does work with the professional version of RAD Studio and Delphi and C++ Builder and Enterprise and Architect. So every version except for the community version. That is a choice by QBS. It's not a restriction we're putting on. It's just they choose to do it that way. That's fine. Their product, their choice. What is it? Well, you design reports in the IDE, actually in the RAD Studio IDE, and you design them pretty much like you design a form or a screen. So if you can design an application form, a screen for your app, then you can design reports in QuickReport. It's very, very easy. And in fact, so easy, I'm going to show you during a demonstration in a moment. You basically create a report by creating a new form, and that form then becomes the kind of container for your report. You drop on a QR report, which is the main component, and set some properties, default paper size and whether you want margins and stuff like that. And then a load of controls that you can drop on. There's label controls, barcode controls, image controls. They even have some controls that do things like create automatic reports from grids, which is very, very useful feature for any of you, because a lot of people's applications have grids on them. And you can then add all these QR controls. They've got a ton of them, and I'll show you those in a minute on one of my slides. You just drop those on, set the properties, and off you go. The exclusive distributors at the moment are Barnsten. They are a very important tech partner of ours. They're very well known in Europe. They're based in Holland, in Haarlem, but they work for the German or DACH region, so Germany, France, the Netherlands, I think a few others as well. But I know Barnsten, and they are extremely reliable. Now, some of you who were QuickReports users in the past may have struggled to get any form of support or responses back. And the problem was that when Luke died, the main developer, when he passed away, it took QBS by surprise and really wrong-footed them. It happens. That's business. And I think it's fair to say that even when I was dealing with QBS, trying to get answers from them about is QuickReports available for the latest versions, it was quite difficult to get replies from them. That's just the way these things are. Sometimes they sell a lot of products, QBS, and this was one of them. However, this is not the case with Barnsten. They're very responsive. And I can almost say that if you email them for some kind of questions about QuickReports, you will get an answer straight away. That's very reassuring for existing QuickReports users. I know there are many customers out there, and many developers who have got projects they cannot upgrade because the last available QuickReports version that was sold was for 10.3. of RAD Studio or Delphi. And so they were stuck on that, and they had a lot of QuickReports in their products, and dozens and in some cases hundreds of reports, and it was a big trial to try and convert over. Many people use some alternatives like Fast Report or Report Builder, but it's an uphill slog. Some people simply chose not to upgrade the product or the project to a later version of RAD Studio and just stick with the one they had because of QuickReports. That's not necessary anymore. The latest version available on that page there, that link, will work with the very latest version of RAD Studio today. And I'm going to show you that because I'm going to show you it working in 12.2. What is it? Well, if you install QuickReports using the installer, it installs a vast number of components. I mean, dozens and dozens. I've tried to take some screenshots there to be representative of what it can do, but there's a lot. The QR report section has got all those things like rich text components and expression components, which I'll talk about in a moment, loop bands, grid reports. If you've got a grid, you drop a grid report component on your form layout, your report layout, and attach a few properties, and bing, it will magically create a report for you, including emulating all the fonts and all the row spacing and all the grid line colors and all that directly in your report. It makes it extremely easy to do. I love that. I think it's a really great feature. It's also got all sorts of barcode components, so you can do QR codes, which is almost like the de facto standard now for sharing information, and regular code 3 of 9 barcodes and all that kind of stuff. If you're into POS systems or something like that, this is you'll understand that. It'll make sense to you. New in this version, and I think it might have been in a slightly older version as well, is a section called QR Report Web. And what this allows you to do is actually create server-side applications that will do reporting for you. Very, very useful. So you can create either an ISAPI DLL or something like that for Apache, or you can create a standalone Windows service or Linux service or whatever. Actually, I think it has to be Windows, but you can create that server-side app, and then it will generate your reports, but output them to a web page, a set of HTML. I'm not going to show you that in the demo because the demo I'm doing is straightforward and trying to explain how it works without getting into the complications of server side. But if enough people ask for it in the future, I will actually do a demo of doing some server side reporting as well, because we have got some webinars coming up where we're doing a lot more server side kind of stuff. You've got to stick around. We're going to have not a hot dog. If you're a fan of Silicon Valley TV program, we're going to recreate that app and Bro and a few other things as well. It's basically to demonstrate some cool messaging facilities and stuff like that. But we thought we'd make it funny at the same time. There is an example of a quick report. So there's your form, and this is a real quick report. It's actually from a product I've worked on in the past. And what that shows you in the middle is how the form is laid out on the how the report is laid out on the form. I've got it set up so there's lots of columns, some optional bands that turn on and off depending on some values in the report data. And on the right hand side there, you can see the report as it is when it's printed. So it links to some data sources. There's some queries there, and the components that you see on the screen where it says deductions and total for, these are data aware quick report controls. So you point it to a data set, you point it to a field, and when you run your query and run your report, out comes the report. And with one line of code, I can then output that report to a PDF. And actually in this particular product, and I'm going to show you this in the demo as well, you can choose not to preview it to the screen. You can actually just output it directly to a PDF. They've got all sorts of other filters like XML filters. I think there's an XSLS, whatever the latest version of Excel is. I can't remember. XSLX, yes, XL. Well, there's a tongue twister, but you know what I mean. Latest version of Microsoft Excel. It does open document format and CSV and a few other things as well. Very, very good. I like the product. It's extremely powerful, and I like the fact that you basically drive it by going onto the properties and setting the properties, and then you don't really have to do a lot of code after that. It does it all for you. So let's go and do a demo now and show you what it looks like for real in person. While we're doing that, just make sure what we've got. Yeah, let's put a couple of messages up. I used QuickReport for a long time. I like to use it. Let's see it again for new projects. Yeah, George. George is extremely good. I met him recently in Portugal. George, very good MVP and a big fan. And as George says, hello from Portugal. Yes. And it is. It was a very nice product with great features. Yes, very much loved. And you know, unfortunately, Luke passing away really did cause people a few problems when he passed away. So QBS just didn't know what to do. So I'm going to turn my camera off for a second. And so hopefully you can still hear me, which I think you can. And the reason is so you can see what's going on. So what I've got here is a little demo app, and I'll upload this to the web at some point. It's in RAD Studio 12, and you can see there's not a lot of code, okay, in here. I've got a couple of things. Save my form location and reload it. I'll tell you how I do that in a minute. I actually use a thing called a form helper to do that. George is waving at me, and Senol says hello, and KMR Tube says, can it handle full-scale background pictures? Yes, you can do watermarking and all sorts of things. This demo doesn't show it, but yes, it absolutely can. When you say full-scale background pictures, we'll talk about this after the demo, but this depends on your printer, because not all printers are created equally, and some of them, like LaserJets, have buffers. And if you've got a very, very big image, then you can override the buffer. And also, meanwhile, here is Raymond from Barnsten, and it says hand pink waving, but if you can see it on the YouTube, you'll actually see a little emoji. So I just turn my camera back on and then go, hello, Raymond. Raymond's from Barnsten, and they are the ones that are doing it. So we'll come to the questions in a minute. Does anybody know if they're making it compatible with the latest version of Delphi and adding new features, updates as well? There have been some new features, and we'll get Raymond to answer that later, because he is currently on there. He is actually somewhere else at the moment. I think he said he was traveling to, I think, Germany or Belgium, but I'm not sure. But I know he's at a conference with some of my colleagues. Mike, is it VCL only? Yes, at the moment it is VCL only. It's Windows only. Anyway, let me show you how this works before we answer too many questions. Don't worry, we'll make sure that we answer all your questions. I'm going to star a few of them so that I can come back to these and show you what happens. Okay, so this is the main core part of my app, and if I just hit F12, you can see this is my little demo app. So I've got a preview button, PDF button, and a little checkbox here. Does QuickReports support form fields with PDF forms? Not sure. And a few other questions. Okay, I'll come back to the questions in a minute. So here's a checklist box so that I can just turn some features on and off, because I want to show you how dynamic it can be. It's a straightforward program, so let's run it and let's see what it does. So if I hit F9, up comes my app, and you got my very cool background there. But let's just say preview. And this is actually connecting to a real database. It's a database on my machine. It's a MySQL database, but it could be, you know, SQLite or something like that. And in fact, when I put the example code up on the web, I will make sure it's a SQLite database or something like that, so that you can see what's happening. I'm going to show myself on the screen as well. But this is a MySQL database. Now, you'll see a couple of features here. This preview here is the default preview, and you can customize this completely. There are ways of customizing these buttons, or you can do your own custom preview completely. So you don't even have to use this. This is just the default preview. If you scroll around, you can scroll the pages with the mouse wheel like I'm doing here, and you've got these thumbnails here. So if I if I click on the right screen, that help. If I click on the screen like that, you can see it jumps straight to the thumbnails. Now, this database has got, I think, like 500 fake employee names in, and you'll notice that the names there, and I'm going to start this question as well. Someone else asked a very good question. You'll notice that all the names are example.com. These are not real employees. I'm not using real data, just in case. I don't want to get sued. This QR code, if you scan it, you'll find that it will come up with some text information, which is, I think, the employee name. I've put the employees, this is just a default database. I filled it with junk, Aaron Adams, but you can see there. Now, what other things can you do? In the default preview, you can do this and say, oh, I'd like to, show it like this, or have a display zoom of, I don't know, let's go make it huge, or let's make it tiny, like that. Default preview, pretty cool. Does what you want, but you might not want all these buttons. For example, here there is a button which you can't see, which is the print setup button. I'm not going to show it because it actually, my printer is an internet connected printer, and I don't want you people printing to my printer. Thank you very much. But you'll just have to trust me that that comes up and does a print dialog. You can save the report, and saving the report can be in a couple of different ways. Now, the default format is not the one I've got there. The default format is its own format called a QRP file. But actually, if you instead choose a PDF and save it like that and say, I don't know, we'll call it my report.pdf, I can save the report like this, and it's saved it onto my drive as a PDF file. If you don't believe me, let me just open the and pull that over so you can see, but there is my report.pdf. And because I've got the very cool Windows Power Tools installed, I can preview the PDFs in my Explorer. Very, very nice little feature. But let's minimize that. But let's say I don't want all this. Maybe I don't want my users to be able to save reports. Maybe I don't want them to be able to choose random printers or something like that. So I can choose to turn some of these off. Now, you remember on the preview, we've got these thumbs down here. So what I can do is I can tick on this little check box here and say, let's turn off that thumbnail. So now down the side, your thumbnail view is gone. Very, very useful. But let's say I don't want to have them to be able to show any zoom buttons and start zoomed, and I don't want them to show the load and save buttons either. So they've disappeared. So the default preview is actually configurable. That's pretty handy. But you can do a lot more than that. So the other thing that I can do is, instead of going to that preview like I just showed you, this one, which is the default preview, I can say, well, let's bypass the preview completely, and let's instead just output it to the PDF. So what I do is I'm going to save it here. I'm going to call it, let's call it live example report, like that. Save it. You see it preview, and then what I've got it to do is, just as a little example of my cool coding skills, and I hope I can go back to the screen. Yeah, you can see that there's a PDF. Now, because this is a regular PDF and I've opened it in Edge, you get to do some other cool things on PDFs, like you can it doesn't go very well because my browser is also broadcasting as well, but you can do all sorts of exciting things like, let's choose a different color. Let's go, oh, I want to underline Aaron's name in red, that kind of stuff. So, just a little feature that you get for free if you're using Edge. And then obviously, if I close it and say close, it's going to say, are you sure? Because you haven't saved your change yet. But yeah, we're going to save it. So default preview, direct to file. How did I do that? Let's see how I did that in the code. Okay. So you remember before that I said this is our example app. So if I go in here and just show you what happens with the preview button, what I do is I've got a little a record type set up here for the options, and I set up my options, and I pass it over to a little routine I've written called do preview. And what that does is that does the actual legwork of creating the preview. So I create my form, which I'm going to show you in a moment, and I then set the options that I've got on my little checkbox. If you recall here, here's my checkbox, whether I want the thumbs and all the rest of it. I set those based on the record options that have been sent over. If I'm starting Zoom, then I change the preview controller so that it zooms to fit, or a 100% if they haven't got the zoom button showing, and decide whether I can show the save and load buttons. And then all I do is say preview, and that's it. It just, that will then make it show the default preview. What does that look like? Well, the same form in which I've got that code, because I've tried to encapsulate it so that it's all in one place. The same code that has those two functions in is actually a form in itself. And here is my quick reports form. So if I click on here and click on F11, you can see that this is a quick rep. And what that has is all the properties that you could want. So you can put a description in the report. This shows when you print out to, say, a laptop printer or something like that. An inkjet printer, you know, if you go into the Windows print jobs, it'll list some details. Create in a background thread, so you can do some multi-threading. The TQR page has got things like margins, so there's a few properties in there. Because I'm technically American, even though I sound British, my defaults are all American, so my dates and my paper sizes are US data, but you can cover almost every kind of format you want. You know, how many pages are in the preview and all this kind of stuff, quite a lot of things. Now, if I just go to the preview, the palette for a moment, and go down to here, you can see there are a lot of different components, and I mean a lot, and just about everything you could ever want. And so really all you're doing to design your reports, and this is why it's called Quick Report, is drop some components on. Simple as that. If you'll see here, I have some FireDAC stuff. So I have a FireDAC connection, which is connecting to my MySQL server. I've got I'm using the libmariadb link so that I can show things in my browser, in my IDE, which currently is 32-bit. So this is a 32-bit version of the libmariadb, and the app is 32-bit as well. But that just helps me make my MySQL connection without lots of weird stuff going on. And then I have a query. Now, the query itself looks like this. Wherever it is going to appear here. So I'm selecting from a table called mEmployee. I'm just getting the first 5 records that appear. I haven't sorted them or anything, they just put them out. That will then give me a bunch of fields. Okay, and if I was to show you my table, which I don't think I can easily do, there's a field called mem surname. The data set is my query there, and I can pick any of the fields in the query that I want. And I think this will connect. Let me see if I can do it. Yeah. So if I do that, I can pick job title and notes and mobile number or cell number if you're American, fax number, forename. Akeem, I'll answer your question in a moment. You're asking about PDF-A because that is something that is quite relevant for Germans in particular. But yes, pick the fields. Very, very straightforward to do. Now, I have on here this component called a preview controller. Why do I want the preview controller? Well, imagine instead of just a single form here, that what I've got is a data module. And my data module has this preview controller dropped onto it. And then my form here links to that data module, which is a traditional way of having your data centralized. So all your business logic for your data retrieval is stored in the data module and handled by the data module. You then could drop the preview controller in there, and then in your QR report, you link to the preview controller. So it would say here, data module 1.qr preview controller. The advantage then is you can change just one set of properties for every report. So let's imagine instead of having one report, I have 100 reports. And I don't want to go through each report and change the page size and the preview size and whether the buttons can show or not. Instead, I would just affect this QR preview controller on my data module, and all 100 reports would automatically work with those preview settings. Object orientation, inheritance, and all that kind of stuff works so well for that kind of thing. It's one of the benefits of encapsulating your code properly and keeping things nice and clean, putting everything in a data module and putting your business logic in there for your code, for your data module. If you're using MVVM or MVM or something like that, even better, because you can have a data model and then your data module fills that data module, and you can then there's a data provider component that allows you, instead of having queries and data sources, you could have a mem table, or you could link to something else, because there is a set of components that allow you to do on-demand data. So anything you can visualize, you can do. The filter in this case is a PDF filter, and there's a number of different encodings for the text. Someone asked about PDF-A, and the reason that's important is particularly in Germany, coming up in January, as I was told by Olaf Monian, one of our MVPs, from the 1st of January, I think it is. Let me just check. I think it's the 1st of January. It will be compulsory to use a format which uses PDF-A, and it's called Zugford. I'm probably pronouncing it completely wrongly, but Zugford is the German mandatory electronic interchange format, and it uses PDF-A. So yes, can you output it like that? Yes, you can. Some other features: when I print the data, there's a couple of components there which I want to affect manually. Now, I have chosen to use a QR barcode rather than a QRDB barcode, and there is no on print event. There's no event for printing that. Instead, as you can see, I have a thing called a detail band. The detail band is determined from the data set that I'm looking at, and for each record in the main data set, this detail band here will print. And when this detail band prints, just before it prints, what I do is I set up I'm going to close this for a second. Whoops, do it on the right window here, so you can see what the query does. I set the barcode text for that QR barcode to be the person's forename, their last name, and their employee ID tag. So when you scan the QR code, when it's a live report, it will actually show you, it'll say, I think, barcode text and then forename, last name. Now, it could be a website. It could be a link to a personnel record using deep linking on the Windows machine or something like that. All sorts of different ways of doing it. The other thing I do is I have a thing called a sys data component, which is this one. And there's two of them. I've got one there, and this is a small red screen, so I can stream to you properly. And there's another one here. On sysdata print, what this does, it's set up. You can choose what you want your sysdata to be. So there's date, time, and the rest of it. I wanted this to show something custom. And so when it prints, it actually will retrieve the page number and then just put the prefix of page at the start of it. Likewise, at the sysdata 2, which is at the top here, I actually want to show the full date and time in no particular formatting. So I actually say printed on and then valid. Now, this is a date time field, so I could actually format this and show it in Danish format on an English machine if I really wanted to go crazy, or French format on a German machine, or whatever. You've got complete control. So those are triggered as the detail records print. The code to do the export to the PDF that I showed you, I'm going to show you this again in a minute. When I print when I click on the button that says to PDF. You remember on my main part of my app, I have this button that says PDF. This is the code that I call. So I pass over a file name from the save dialog, the file save dialog, and I prepare the report. What prepare does is, unlike preview, which prepares the report and then shows the preview, prepare just simply prepares it. So it processes the report. It does it triggers all those events for all of the records in the data set. And at that point, when it comes back from there, it's ready to do something with. So I create a document filter. This is one of the filters that's built in. And I export it to the file name that export it to the filter, the PDF filter, which could just be an XMLS filter or something else. And then I free those up just to make sure I don't use too much memory, set the QR printer to nil. Now, because we've already said to the filter, put it out to this file name, when I run this little app here, passing the file name of the PDF over will make it open in my web browser, because I have PDF files set to be associated that when you double click on a file that's called a PDF file, it'll open in the browser. You remember I showed you it in Edge where you could draw on the browser. Now, a couple of things about that. How do I do that? Well, that's a little helper file that I wrote that just literally opens using the open verb, the PDF file. Now, it could be an executable, it could be XLS spreadsheet, it could be a Word doc, doesn't really matter. It would just choose the default verb. You know, when you say open with on files, which I think I can probably pull one up. Let's see. Yeah. You know, when you go here and you say open with, and it gives you the options, all that my little app code there does is just basically says whatever this is associated with, the default one, use that one. So it's kind of cool. The other little bit of helper code that I've got that probably needs a bit of explanation, just to make it a little bit more posh, is because this is not my main screen, the one you're looking at the moment. My main screen is over that way. I get the app to remember that it was stored in a particular location, so that when you run it like this, it will show on this screen, which is not the default screen. The default screen is the other one over the other side. And then when I close the app, it will save it. I do that using a nice little bit of Windows 12, RAD Studio 12 trickery, which is I use a thing called a form helper or a class helper. If this was FMX, then I'd need to do some slightly different things on these two lines. But apart from that, it would still work. And so this is a class helper for T-forms. And what it means is that you can call your form. Let's say your form is called main form 1 or form 1. You can say form1.save form location, and it will automatically store the location of your form, so that if your user drags your application over to a different monitor, if they've got multi-monitors, when you close your application, if you say save the form location using my little class helper here, next time it runs, it will open up on that other monitor. It won't always open up on the main one where the taskbar is. So it's just a convenience thing. It's a nice little feature, but there you go. So I'm doing that there, but it could just as easily say, what's this called? Main form dot say form lock. So it could be like that if I wanted to. And that won't actually work on my code because of the way I've got it set up. But that's what a class helper does. Very, very useful technique. You can literally enhance, your own apps. Cool. Okay, so we've got quite a lot of questions, and Raymond's doing a job of answering them as well. But that's just what I wanted to show. Now, it's not difficult. I like quick reports. I'm a big fan of it. And, you can't really get easier than laying out a form, because that's what you do all the time in RAD Studio anyway. So being able to control these kind of things here, from the preview. As I said, this could be a completely custom preview. You can, if you know how to do it, you can actually have your main form have a panel in it, for example, and instead of previewing in a preview here, it could be previewed in a T panel or any other control that you want. Really, it will work. So I like it. So that's that. So let's stop sharing and go back to me. Let's go back to my presentation, which of course means I have to share again. I have so many screens open. Choose this one and turn me off again, so to speak. Right, and go to here. Right, so that was your little demo. Where can you get quick reports? Well, Raymond is in the chat at the moment. I think he might only be YouTube. I haven't checked at the moment. But Raymond's the boss at Barnsten, and I know him well, good guy. You can get it from barnsten.com. Like I say, if you go and search for quick reports, you will find their website and QBS link to that. Look, it's QBS's product. Do whatever you want to do, but I don't recommend you go to that website for the info. Instead, go to this one that I'm showing you, barnsten.com, and get the info from there. And it's more up to date, and you know, Barnsten are on the ball, shall we say. I had a little bit of an issue when I got my copy. You know, I need a demo copy, and I said, hey, this is not quite working. It's just a technicality with a license, and they had it fixed in an hour, something like that, which is not my experience previously. Just out of fairness to our other tech partners, just to make clear that there are some other options. Fast Report VCL, I've asked them a question about some licensing because they've got a weird looking license at the moment, which is causing a bit of consternation on the social media groups because they seem to be asking for royalties and stuff like that. I'm sure it's wrong, but we've talked about Fast Report before. Fortis Report is a community edition. It doesn't do all things that the big boys do, but there is a version that's available for the community edition. And List and Label from Combit, I've done a session for them in the past. Nice little product as well, like it. And Report Builder, who've got an office in Dallas, not far from me, called Digital Metaphors. You can get a trial version of all of these if you go to the Get It package manager and just type in report. And actually, I speak to Raymond about trial versions. I don't think there is a trial version of Quick Reports, but if there is, perhaps we should get that and get it as well. But those are the available options that you can get. Good stuff. So let me go back to my broadcaster thing there and say stop sharing so you get me back. Turn my camera on. Right, so lots and lots and lots of questions. So I'm glad I did this webinar. It seems like and I thought there would be a lot of people that were saying, oh, this is really good. Yeah, there's quite a lot. So first of all, this is a comment from Raymond. Raymond, as I said, is from Barnsten. The current version of Quick Report supports the latest 12.2 version. Absolutely guaranteed, because you just showed me using it. That is 12.2, the very latest version. I use the commercial version. I don't use any secret insider Embarcadero versions. I'm using the one that you guys have. I think that's more honest. I think if there's a problem, then I should, suffer it as well. I could get, some special, we did some magic behind the scenes version, but no, I use the same version as you. As Raymond says, they're in close contact with the new development team at QBS for bug fixes and feature requests. So contact Barnsten and they will be more than happy. He did tell me before, and I think Marguerite, who's his colleague, mentioned before that when you order from them, they give you an installation guide as well, like a little installation guide and a couple of other things as well, I think. Which is very useful. The biggest problem at the moment is the lack of documentation, and which is why I'm doing this webinar. But it's not that difficult. Once you start using Quick Reports and the penny drops about, oh, that's how to use it, then it's really easy. As he said, report any issues to Barnsten, and they'll follow it up with QBS, and that's the perfect solution. QBS are very good at what they do, but I think Barnsten plug a gap here. So let's look at some of the other questions we have. Yeah, I think this is the question that Raymond answered. Does anybody know if they're making it compatible with the latest version of Delphi? Yes, it is now compatible with all versions of Delphi from version 7 up to the very latest version of RAD Studio. That's why I'm doing this webinar. It's very exciting. A lot of people have had to wait a long time. I personally had some projects that were stuck in 10.3 because they had a lot of quick reports in them, and you know, the person that I was doing, I actually don't work for that company anymore, but they're going to upgrade because now they can upgrade to the latest version. Mike asked, is it VCL only? Yes, it is currently VCL only, although I did talk about the web components, and you can produce output that will go to web pages. So with the web components that are built in, you can generate web content, HTML content, and show those reports on there. KMR MyTube said, can a QuickReport handle full-scale background pictures? So that's a background picture, the size of the report. Yes, it can. And I know this for certain because I have actually written an app in the past that was a mapping app and needed to print a map with a key and some demos, plus some charting apps, and it needed to be the full page. It does work. However, if you're printing to a color laserjet printer or a regular laserjet printer, or some other form of printer that has a buffer, you have to watch what you're doing, because if you send a full resolution image down to those printers, it doesn't matter whether it's QuickReports or, you know, FireMonkey or anything else, you know, that you're printing, you'll overrun the buffer and your report will not work. That's nothing to do with Delphi. That's a limitation of Windows. So yes, the answer is yes, QuickReports can do it if your printer's up to. If it's inkjet, it's probably not a problem, because inkjet nearly always just does it a line at a time, and it will buffer as much as it can print, and then buffer some more off it goes. I don't know the answer to this one, Stefan. I think I'll find out and publish this. There will be a blog post after this sometime in the next day or so, which I put up at the beginning, and I'll find out about form fields for PDF forms, because I really don't know the answer, and I don't think, I don't think anybody else has said that as well. So we'll come back to you on that one. I don't know is the answer, but it should be able to. Will Barnsten provide updates for QR for the license I have from QBS, or do I need to place a new order at Barnsten? Email Barnsten and ask them. Go to their website and ask them the details. Can you use it to create reports with .matrix printer like Z report did? Z or Z report, I don't know what that is, but I know it will produce .matrix reports because I've used it for that. I've been around a very long time as a developer, and I have produced .matrix reports. A .matrix printer is just a printer, and you can either set a page size or do the page size being one line at a time, and then emit those pages to the .matrix. It can do it for sure because I've done it. Can it create a report from JSON data? Yes, it can. You can use any form of data source, and even no data source. It has a on need data event, and you can feed it anything you like. But it also has, you know, the ability to read JSON data, because it can interact. The data aware part is just regular data aware controls. You can, you know, link a data source of any type and read JSON data. FireDAC can do that, and lots of other ways of doing it. We have been using QuickPDF for merging PDFs. Do you have any recommendations for PDF modifications that doesn't require distributing additional files? Actually, if you have Microsoft Office, I don't know about OpenOffice, but Microsoft Office, you can open up a PDF and convert it in Microsoft Office. I think you can do it in Google as well. But for PDF modifications, most people I know actually buy Adobe and edit it that way. I don't have any recommendations for PDF modifications. It's an open format. It shouldn't be that difficult. Ariel Alvarez says, will Barnsten handle all QR development, support bug fixes and new features from now on? Raymond answered this earlier and said that he said, where was it? I can't find it now, but he basically said that they're working very closely with QBS and here we go. There, I found the answer. So the answer is, yeah, the current version supports 12.2, as we said earlier, and they're in contact with the new development team. I've also had messages backwards and forwards with QBS in the past, and I'm aware their development team is more than one person involved, which is a good thing because Lute was the main developer at QBS for this product and several others, and when he passed away, that's when there was a big problem. We've had it happen ourselves. Many of you will know Eugene when he passed away, and Germans will know Matthias, one of our guys, died last year. Big gap for us because he was very well loved and very well known. And when people die unexpected, I mean, if you're in your 80s, with respect, it's not that much of a surprise. And I'm getting old myself. I still think I'm too young to die, but it wouldn't be impossible for it to happen. But when someone dies and they're relatively young, it's always a shock and a surprise. And so in this case, yeah, I totally get where they're coming from. I think that's it. Amilcar says, I love QuickReport. So do I. Yeah, it's great. And he also says, or he or she also says, hi from Uruguay. Wow. Hello from Uruguay. And this person says, QuickReport is back. And hopefully that writing says something polite like that, rather than anything else. Ron says, I have hundreds of QR reports. Thank you so much for breathing a bit of life back into the program. Don't thank me. It's down to QBS and Barnsten in conjunction with each other. They are the heroes of the hour. I didn't do anything but talk about it and show you a quick demo. It's really great. A couple of questions about high DPI, and there are some issues with high DPI because in normal modes I had to bug out. Okay, right. So Eduardo, report that bug, and that will get solved. I'm sure it'll be sorted. The way to do it is to turn off font scaling on your desktop. If you have your Windows desktop and you go to the settings and you'll see a thing that says font scaling, turn it off, put it to 100%, and then just zoom your browser windows up and your document windows up. I do it, and absolutely zero problems with high DPI in any application, because there are plenty of applications, not just this one, but lots of others that have it. We're working very hard on fixing some of the issues in RAD Studio to do with high DPI. So yeah, it's which graphic technique is used in creating the report? Actually, it prints to a printer driver, a QR printer, and it doesn't use SKIA, GDR, and GDR+. It's using its own routines in the background. If it's using canvases in Delphi, which it will do, then in 12.2, yes, it will use SKIA, and then it'll print to the screen using that, because they're just standard components and they'll naturally inherit the SKIA capabilities. So that's it. But you don't really need to worry about that. Just all you need to know is it works. That's all you care about. If the QBS site is outdated, where do I get more detailed information? That's a very good question. So go to here, which is Barnsten's website. And what I will do is actually put it up as a caption as well here. So if you go to here, if either scan that QR code there with your device and it will go directly to that website, or type in this address into your browser, barnsten.com, product-category, quick reports. If you're not sure, just go to barnsten.com. They're the people who are working with this, so it's very, very good. I've got a lot of good things to say about them. I get on quite well with them, so I'm slightly biased, but yes. As Ron says, turn off window scaling. Yeah, absolutely. That's totally what I do. Vera says, boa tarde. Hello, or boa tarde. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it. Portuguese for you. Lots of people there. When is the nearest time we can use it in FireMonkey? Right now, it's VCL only. We don't have a time for that. You need to suggest it, and perhaps QBS will come back and give it there. Someone asked about, can their QR6 version work? You can get an upgrade, so it's a lot cheaper than just buying it new. And you get a new installation procedure and a serial number for this upgrade, including an installation guide. And the installation guide is relatively useful. What about Report Builder? Says Avidus. I showed a link in the other reporting options. Report Builder is still around, digital metaphors. It's just that today we're talking about quick reports. There are several options for reporting, and Report Builder I personally have used. I've also used Quick Report and Fast Report in my own development because, as you all know, I get up every day and write code. That's what I tell people. It is Report Builder is a great product. Quick Reports up here, I love that product. So it was the first one that I actually went, oh, this works great, so on and so forth. But Report Builder is perfectly credible. We will do a demo and a webinar about Report Builder, and we will do one about Fast Report and List and Label, Combit software. I keep trying to arrange one with them. We've done one in the past, but I want to do another one as well. Is it going to be compatible with FMX application? Well, that's the same question. How about the support? Yes. Akim, go to the Barnsten website and they will give you support. That is the key difference. As I said, ignore the quickreport.co.uk site. That needs updating. Barnsten will give you support for this product. They've said as much, and they shouldn't have said it. They didn't mean it, but they said it, and they're not joking. But buy it by them, and they provide support. I don't know if there's a cost involved or if there's any limitations. Negotiate with them. I'm just telling you, I'm the messenger. In this particular scenario. Thomas says, I'm using the latest version of both QR and T-chart in RAD Studio 12. Oh, well, there you go. So I think the question there is Barnsten. Thomas, my suggestion is that you contact Barnsten and ask them. Email them directly and have a quick chat, because it sounds like you are going to be the kind of person that they're going to be able to help directly. So go there. Okay, I think, you know what? I think that's actually all the questions. Thanks, everybody. I'm really pleased that so many people showed an interest. These webinars take not a massive amount of effort, but quite a lot of effort. And they're surprisingly popular. We're going to be doing 2 a week. The next one is this Friday at the same time that this one started. This one on Friday is a very, very good product called Font Creator, and we're going to be interviewing the developer behind it, Erwin. And I'm going to talk to him after this actually, and he's going to show us how he wrote Font Creator for Windows, and then how he converted it to work for Mac as well. Extremely interesting product, very beautiful product, and it's really worth looking at. Actually, Gary asked a question. Any changes to QR design that conflict with writing QR2 files at runtime and executing them? As far as I'm aware, there aren't any. QR design was a product that was a third-party product, which then QBS bought and merged into the product. So as far as I'm aware, it still works the same way. Inlight keeps asking the same question, so I'm going to answer this question. The answer is it going to be compatible with FMX applications? No, it is not. It is a VCL app at the moment. There are some options for FireMonkey out there. I showed them in the links, so rewind this video and go back to the links. But it's just something, if enough people ask for FireMonkey, I believe they will do something about it. It's not difficult to convert, but the previews would need quite a lot of work on a few other things as well to make them compatible. But I personally like FireMonkey. I think it's a great product to, great framework to use for lots of different reasons. So that's it. Okay, I think we're not going to have any more questions. Okay, so just to go back to what I was saying earlier on, we have a lot more happening. Friday is Font Creator. What other ones we've got? Next Tuesday, we are going to talk about a very, very, very exciting product called Web Stencils, which comes with RAD Studio 12.2. And it allows you to create proper HTML apps using your favorite HTML editor. Well, you can do it in the IDE as well, and output your Delphi data to the Web Stencils in a very, very cool way. I'm going to show you some very interesting features. We've got a book about it. We've got a training course about it as well. And that's next Tuesday. After that, on Friday next week, so a week this Friday, we've got an interview with YouTube streamer Tim Coates. And I had to record that like really early in the morning. We have recorded it, so I know what he said because he's in Australia. And so I made sure that I was the one doing the early morning wake ups, and Tim didn't have to get up quite so early. It's great. Inlight says, okay, I would love to use it. Oh, go ahead. Talk to Barnsten and see what they have to say. So that's that. We've also got a whole series of webinars. Go and register if you haven't already, and you'll hear them all about them. We've got, we're going to try and reproduce an Instagram type app for real, including back end. And we're also going to talk about how you can use Figma and Canvas and Sketch, design your apps, and then recreate them inside the IDE. On the Tuesday after that, we're going to meet the developer of a game called Viking Stories. Fantastic app. And I think they've got another app, which I can't remember what it's called right off the top of my head, but really great. It's showing a massive, great big screen, and it looks cool. It's like Crystal Clock or something. On the Friday, Richard Hatherall and I are going to recreate Not a Hot Dog from the Silicon Valley HBO series. We're geeks. We love Silicon Valley. I might even wear my Pied Piper t-shirt for that one. And the following Tuesday, we're going to create Bro, which is a messaging app. Why are we doing those stupid apps? Well, we're doing it so that, first of all, we can teach you about some AI object recognition, some voice generation, speech generation using AI. We're also going to show you how to do notification via Amazon AWS very easily and mostly for free. If you've got RAD Studio, the Richard's components, there's an Embarcadero version you can download. And then after that, we're going to do all the roundup of the Amazon services that you can do with Richard again. Great MVP, great developer. And then the final two on the holiday week, as the Americans call it, or Christmas week if you're British, or next the end of December if you don't celebrate Christmas. We're going to do two webinars, things you wish you knew before today. All those things where you go, oh, I didn't know that, because that happens to me all the time, even after 30 odd years. And then on the 20th, we're going to finish up with the holiday special event, just like anything else. So that's it. Is there any kind of offer? Louise, contact Barnsten on that link there and ask them, see what they have to say. I'm sure they'll do some kind of deal for you. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for joining me. See you again on Friday. So that's in 3 days' time, at the same time that we started today, on the same channels. If you're watching this on YouTube, particularly if you're watching this on a replay, click on the subscribe button. So click on like, click on subscribe button, and then that little bell. You know, I sound like an influencer, but click on the bell for the subscription. We won't know who you are. We won't know your email. We won't know your address. We won't know what country you're in roughly, But if you do that, it will alert you when I next go live, because I'm going to start doing shorts, 1 or 2 or 3 minute videos randomly. And I'm not even sure when they're going to be, because we've not planned them yet, but we're just going to do them. But if you subscribe on YouTube using that button and clicking on that little bell, you'll get told when they're happening. But also, it means in your YouTube feed, you will get offered our videos as something that you're interested in, plus some of the other ones we do. It will not make any difference to you. We won't know who you are. We won't spam you. We can't email you or anything like that. We have got no way of communicating with you apart from through videos, which you can pick and choose whether you want to watch it or not. So please click on the like and click on subscribe button. I just sound like a YouTuber now, don't I? But that's how it works. Anyway, thanks very much, everybody. I'm going to go and do something else now. But thanks for joining me, and see you on Friday at the same time. Bye-bye.